Welcome, tribe. If you're starting to show up, I'm here with Alan. Alan, did I say your last? I should have asked you this before.
Schnur.
Schnur.
Schnur,
Okay.
yeah.
Right
That's
on.
what they yell at me in high school. Schnur.
Schnur. Right on, Alan. Well, good to have you here. We got to chat for a few minutes before here. I wanted to give you a proper intro here. Alan is a first-class real estate investor based in Houston who is changing the way people buy real estate, create cash flow, and trust their entrepreneurial drive to obtain true financial freedom and a richer, fuller life. I just learned a few minutes ago that Alan is a mentor for one of our tribe members, Andrew Kiefer, and so that's really cool. Over the years, Alan has put together an impressive real estate portfolio while building a company that has more than 200 employees. With partners, Alan has bought more than 2,000 apartment units, managed more than 7,000 units, along with hundreds of single-family houses. He owns numerous medical, office, warehouse buildings with a dozen shopping centers around the U.S. and builds multi-million-dollar homes through books, presentations, seminars, and consultations. Alan shares his cash flow mindset with anyone seeking true financial freedom. I'll add a couple of things to that. I learned that Alan is a world traveler, climbing all 7 summits. Is that correct?
Working on the 7 summits in the world, correct.
So very cool.
Yeah.
He's a GoBundance member as well. Like I said, mentor to Andrew Kiefer. So welcome to Monday Night Live. Great to have you.
Well, thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, it's really it's fun. It's an honor to be with you all because I've been to many GoBundance events, and I've met a lot of people from the M1 group. And geez, I mean, imagine being 14,000 feet up in the Rockies doing burpees with rock at 6 in the morning.
And he doesn't play. He can do a lot.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going deep with everybody, bringing value, teaching, talking about my story, the ups and downs of life, and what can I say? The millions we speak openly, right? In GoBundance, the millions of dollars that I've made, and I'm not ashamed of it. And the more we talk about how much we make, the more we're going to make.
Yeah, well, and one of the things about that, so in looking through your history today, researching you a little bit, I know that your real estate story got started from pretty tough beginnings, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't mind, do you want to take us through how you?
Yeah, sure. So I found myself in life getting out of college, not sure what I was going to do, and I definitely struggled that transition from student life to professionalism or finding a career. Wasn't an easy fit for me. I bounced around for a few years, tried a few things, some businesses that didn't work out. And then I finally found myself on Wall Street. I know everyone's kind of seen Wall Street or the Wolf of Wall Street. And, I kind of was one of those, boys that got hazed and fought my way through it, called thousands and thousands of people. And what can I say? I got a lot of Wall Street experience. And then I found myself in the commodity markets. And I finally got my first big break. And I found myself working on the 101st floor of the World Trade Center. And life was good. I was building a new condo. The backyard was the wall, the trade centers. And what can I say? I was living in this condo for 3 weeks. Come September 10th, 2001, I take the elevator. The elevators used to go from the 1st to the 72nd. And then you'd switch and we'd have private elevators to the 101st through the 105th. We had the top 5 floors of the North Tower in New York City in the financial center. And I worked in the North Tower. And September 10, 2001, 40 of us out of 44 in the team were scheduled to take a trip. It's quite incredible. The software wasn't ready on time. Everybody started to cancel their trips. 2 of us out of the 40 are walking out the door. The CEO calls down and says, hey, guys, it's Mike. Only one of you can go. And I'm looking at Stu, and Stu's looking at me, and I'll just never forget, how we were going back and forth. You go, or I'll go, and I don't care, you go. And he finally said to me, Al, Lisa's pregnant. And she knew I didn't have to take this trip. She just would never let me live it down. So that was it. His cause was greater than my cause. And I jumped on those elevators, and what can I say? I woke up, not even like 12 hours later in Portland, and my life was very different. And everybody died. Everybody died. That whole team died. And matter of fact, I lost 40 out of 44 teammates that day, but 700 out of 1,000 people died. I worked for Ken Fitzgerald. And I spent a whole week by myself. And that was the soul searching event of my life. That was the ups and the downs and the survivor guilt and what can I do to help, and not enough communication with the rest of the world, back and forth, all these mixed feelings. And, I still get a little choked up, and I'm always so thankful when I see, the police and the fire, that day really changed my life, and so did the week. And that was it, man. I got my ass kicked. I had to start all over, and I decided I was never going to play small again. And I was going to start my own businesses and just look for a better way and create a better life. And I was drifting. So this event really kicked me in my ass and said, I'm going to go out there and make a ton of money, make a difference, and be the person that I'm supposed to be. So, Ken, that's really what happened.
How long did it take to get from massive grief and all that devastation to going, okay, I'm walking a new path now? Like, how long were you in that period?
It took a few months to kind of just really realize that, I let somebody take my power from me, because, who did that? So all these people. So once I got a really good understanding that I shouldn't let someone do that to me, I really started to turn things around. I got some help, and I grieved. I cried a lot. And, it wasn't really, it was definitely one of the worst events in my life, but we all have many bad events in our life. And I just, lemon out of lemonade, or I just put it all together and asked myself, what can I learn? What does this mean? And what should I do with the rest of my life? And that's really what it was. What should I do with the rest of my life? Am I living, to the fullest? And I went back, I worked for them for a few more months. It didn't really work out. I found myself on unemployment, and I just said, you know what, instead of starting all over, why not take all the information that I learned from these guys on Wall Street and start my own firm? And that's what I did. I drove over to Radio Shack. I know a lot of your listeners don't probably know who they are.
I worked at Radio Shack.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I was that guy.
Okay, well, you're good with electronics and circuits.
Yeah, like short sleeve dress shirt and a yeah, that was standard issue.
That's great. Well, I got 2 phones, 9 lines apiece. I had 18 lines, L'chaim, it means 18 is a lucky number. And I created a product that was tradable. It was new to the market. It caught on, and I was able to build a business from that. And I did that for a good 15 years. And so I had a really good run in the commodity markets, and I ended up selling the firm to my partners. But what I want to also share with our listeners was I was after multiple sources of income. One of the lessons I learned from when the towers fell, really don't put all your eggs in one basket in our sense. And I know we're all talking about the same thing here. Give me multiple sources of income, not just, the K1 income or the W2 income, but why not some real estate income as well? So I took classes, I bought everything online, and the infomercials and the Carlton sheets and the Robert Kiyosaki's. And you know what? That shit worked.
Yeah.
I did it all. I followed, and I'm such a bad direction taker, but that was it. I mean, my back was against the wall. I went from an extremely promising future to, oh boy, if I don't call unemployment every other week at a certain time from a certain location, I'm not going to get my check, to, building multiple sources of income.
So what year did you sell that business?
So I started the commodity business in around 2002.
Right.
And I ended up selling it around 2010 to my partners.
Oh, okay.
When the world started to change again with another financial crisis, it was time for me to get out. When you do the single family house business, you can do that remotely or part-time. You can keep your job. And I built a healthy portfolio. Believe it or not, Ken, I bought a house a month for 10 years straight. So I had like 120. Yeah. And I had a rental portfolio. It wasn't as profitable as you might imagine, But when 2010 came along, and I kind of felt like I always had this like always looking over my shoulder for the next plane to hit because you never know when the next plane's going to hit. I felt like my commodity business was changing. It was time to get out. Who moved my cheese? The cheese was moved. I wasn't going to be the mouse that goes back to the same corner in the kitchen. And I took the money.
Davis.
What was that?
Spencer Davis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took the money. I sold to my partners. And I'm looking around the world. And I'm saying, okay, what's next? You know, we just saw this housing crisis. Why hasn't the apartment crisis hit yet? So, and then it really hit hard. And then for 90 days, every 90 days for 5 years straight, I bought an apartment complex. And before I knew it, I had 2,000 apartment complexes. I'm sorry, 2,000 apartment units and a few hundred houses. And, you know, I liked it. I was having a good time and I had a good ride. And then again, I started to sell everything that I bought, more or less, probably in like 2013, 2014. I like to average down when I'm buying. I like to, you know, sell as things go up. You know, I can't pick the high and I can't pick the low, but I can sure as hell, you know, pick what's in the middle.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's really part of it. Like, so it's actually last week was more or less the last apartment building that I accumulated. I actually bought around 22 apartment complexes and I just sold the last one last week. And I was just looking for the next kind of, I'm a contrarian. So right now the prices on housing are really high and apartment units are really high. So why not, you know, just, I got this from Wall Street, this, a guy that sits in the middle of the pit, they call him the specialist. And he sits there with his pen and he's, you know, he's got a position and he might have 5 buyers over here and, you know, 3 sellers over here. So he's, you know, it's his job in the middle to stay balanced. So me, I like to keep around 20 to 30 different assets, partnerships, limited partners. And I like to just keep busy and keep selling. Like right now, it's so hard to buy housing. I'm not saying there's always a good deal, but I've decided that, you know what, if everybody wants to buy, then I'm going to let them have it. Right. So I've been selling housing for the last few years nonstop. And I'm a contrarian. So right now, retail shopping centers is just not popular. You know, a lot of old business models, a lot of old, I don't know, apparel stores, electronic stores, and the Amazon effect. It's really created huge opportunity for me and my partners to start picking up some really valuable corners in the United States and really some recession-proof businesses as well in the shopping centers. And I've picked up a few dozen retail shopping centers over the last few years. And it's really my darling and my love. The returns are really predictable. And I know I'm probably getting ahead of myself here, but I get this question a lot, like, why do I like the retail shopping centers more than the housing? And it's really, we call it the triple net leasing business because, you know, what does that really mean? The tenants are paying for their own insurance. The tenants are paying for their own taxes, and the tenants are paying for their own repairs. So it's really controllable. I found in the housing business and the apartment business, 50 to 75 cents of every dollar that comes in is an expense, and it's going right back out. Right. But in this retail business, you know, really like 95% is an expense, 95 cents stays in. And it just makes it so much more scalable, manageable. Reading the financials are easy. And more importantly, you can look for really good deals all over the United States and really the world. But I mean, the housing business, I needed to drive to my houses. I needed to know I could get in my car and go over to the apartment building and see what's happening. But, you know, I got to tell you, I'm in 10 different states right now, from Starbucks centers to major grocery centers, TJ Maxx, Ross. I mean, no,
not to get too into the weeds, but I'm just curious because I watched a video on one of your listings on your webpage. I don't know if it was current or not. It was something I think down in Houston. I was just curious, like what kind of, and one thing I was curious to, so I get it, like, you know, the circuit cities and, you know, like a lot of the box stores are getting down to where there's kind of like one player left standing in a lot of industries, right? Toys R Us is gone, Circuit City's gone.
Right.
So I'm guessing when you find these and they're a good deal, is a lot of times, are they a good deal because the anchor tenant has bailed? And if they have, do you guys chop up that space then?
Right. Great question. I mean, we love when I'm buying, I'm always looking for 20, 30, 40% vacancy, because this is a true business where it trades on the money that's coming in. And if there's no money coming in on 40% of the center, you're really getting a 40% discount.
Right.
So that's exactly what we do. Matter of fact, I just came from College Station, where I own a TJ Maxx shopping center. It's 100,000 square feet, and we bought it with around 30% vacancy. So there's around 30,000 square feet of empty stores. And I can tell you that we've taken like a 6,000 square foot restaurant. We've taken a few national names, and I'm in the washateria business, but maybe we should do that for another interview so I can fill up my own spots too, which is kind of cool with my own businesses. And now we're almost 100% full. So you are correct. You know, if there's a big box, maybe 20, 30, 40,000 square feet, maybe divided into two, maybe divided into three. I'm not sure, but if you really look around these days, you don't see too many empty big boxes. I mean, it's kind of like out with the old, in with the new. We were just talking the other day, U-Haul bought a lot of the Toys R Us stores, for example, and they set up storage.
Got it.
You know, or you see a lot of doctors, cosmetic dentists coming out of medical buildings and lining up inside shopping center strips right now. People are looking more for an experience. You see a lot more restaurants popping up. You see, you know, the arcades, the trampoline parks, you know, the kids. So we're, you know, I got to tell you, out of like almost 1 million square feet, which is around 125 tenants, 75% of them probably trade on the New York Stock Exchange or some exchange.
Okay.
You know, we're like above 96% full.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And does it take a while when you take something that's at 60, 70% occupancy?
Yeah, it can. You know, you get a good leasing broker. It's like you get a good leasing broker, maybe one or two. And, you know, as an individual, there's not so much I can do. I can't just call up Starbucks. They don't want to talk to me, but they have their own representatives that are responsible, say, for Houston. So my leasing guy talks to their, you know, their rep, their tenant rep.
Got it.
But sometimes you get lucky, you know, it's like, in 120 days, we filled up like 20% of that, you know, 30% vacancy. So it doesn't take that much for someone to come on in. There's another deal that I just did in Pasadena, Texas, where we just took a 45,000 square foot vacancy and filled it up with one grocer.
Wow.
And it's really huge. It's really huge. If, I don't want to bore people with the math, but when you get a AAA company owned by Albertsons, who backs them, out of nowhere, you got, you know, 45,000 square feet for free. And now you have, you know, this incredible credit worthy tenant. I mean, the valuation goes up a few $1 million.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Big numbers.
Yeah, I'm guessing that, yeah, I mean, so much of your guys' you know, worth as a company is going to be based on run rate, right, of forward looking revenue, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's what we can sell. I'll give you another example. One of the reasons why I'm really excited about, you know, triple net lease business is last year we did a land lease with Krispy Kreme donuts in College Station. You know, it's like all we did was take a piece of our parking lot that nobody used, closest to the highway, and we did a 20-year land lease with them. They came in, they built the structure at their own expense for $2.5 million. And they send us $8,000 a month. Wow. And I'm just for the land lease. So it's like $8,000. I got my times 12. We know that's going to be $96,000 divided by 7 cap. Okay. 0.07. That's a $1.3 million increase in value just by doing a land lease. Wow. You know, there's QSR is another popular term, which stands for quick service restaurants. It's highly likely that somebody will come in and take the best corner of your shopping center. I'm sure we've all seen it. we've seen the Subways out there, the Domino's out there, the Little Caesars, the AT&Ts. Happens all the time.
Right. So and now, so you're saying you're finishing with the apartment buildings right now. Are you all about shopping centers now? Is that
I
like?
am. I have a flipping model in Los Angeles for apartment buildings. We follow the train line and the train stops. They're like 16 unit garden style deals that we do, but I'm just flipping. I don't want to really be in the landlord business anymore. And really focusing in on the retail. I'm looking for exactly what you mentioned, which was give me 30-40% vacancy, maybe a box that did go out. And what else I can tell you? I'm actually, I'm involved with my group. We did a half a dozen ground up construction storage facilities. We have around 2,500 units, around 400,000 rentable square feet. I also have around 100,000 square feet of industrial. I love industrial. I mean, it's even easier than the retail, if at all possible. You get an industrial client, you never ever hear from them.
Right.
It's kind of interesting too, because I know a lot of the listeners in the M1 group are just starting out. And it's like we have to go through this painful evolution on how to get rich. If somebody would have just took me by the shoulders and said, study this business model of retail or triple net lease or warehouses. Look, everything's competitive, so don't get me wrong. But, if we were sitting in a room of 100 people and we said, who's buying houses? I bet you 90-something% would raise their hands. Right. And then who's buying apartment buildings? It would be a lot less. Right. And then you might not even get anyone to raise their hand if you said, who's buying shopping centers?
Right. Right.
Unless I'm there.
Well, even when you said it, because Amazon is disrupting it so much, but that doesn't mean that land like you're doing can't be repurposed and put back out there. People still got to eat. They still got to go to the gym.
Good old neighborhood centers and geographically good located places. Give me 30, 40, 50. I have a shopping center. It's like on Highway 59 in Houston here. It's got 250,000 cars going by it. My Anchor's Discount Tire.
Wow. Wow. So what along the way, so now that you've done, first of all, I wanted to ask you, what brought you down to Houston after New York?
Yeah. So back to the story. Ken Fitzgerald, the company that I worked for on the 101st floor of the World Trade Center. Well, a lot of people don't know this, but Texas actually is responsible for 50% of oil service businesses or all energy in the United States. So 50% of it goes through Texas. I was in derivatives markets for natural gas and electricity, and they had a satellite office. So I came here to rebuild with them, only to find myself out of a job like 90 days later. And then I stayed, it stayed. I think for people that want to start out to the M1 group, look, in New York City, I was just a regular schmuck. I was making, I was making a few $100,000 plus,
right.
Living in New Jersey, working in New York City, 50% is definitely going to the governments and the federal government and the local governments. So, there's no state income tax in Texas, and extremely business friendly. So if you're making a lot of money or you want to start a business and you're not making any money, Texas is the place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Texas a lot. I used to oversee some businesses down there, and good people, friendly culture, good work ethic. It's easy to hire people down there, I feel like.
For sure. And I was going to say, because I know the group is such high achievers.
Yeah.
You come to good work ethic,
yes.
But a lot of people would like to go play golf Friday afternoon at 2:00 or 1:00. Right. And I was a stockbroker. I was staying like 16, 18 hours a day. So when I came here, those guys would leave around me to go play golf.
Right.
I would kill it. I just got ahead of the game. You couldn't catch me, So, I couldn't catch my numbers for the month because they're all playing golf. So if you come out here, not only you're not going to pay state income tax, and you got the M1 hustle. Yeah. You do those burpees or whatever.
Alan's recruiting for the Greater Houston Chamber of Commerce. Hey, Alan, I'm curious, switching gears a little bit, and then we'll come back to shopping malls and everything. But Talk to me about all this adventure travel and the
Thanks.
seven
Yeah.
summits and all of that. How did you get into that? And did that coincide with kind of that 9/11 moment, or were you always into that stuff?
I wasn't always into it, but uh, the commodity business wasn't the healthiest business to be around. I mean, we sat around a desk, we were chained to the desk, and I had a good 10, 15 year run, and we ate very unhealthy food. I mean, we got like Whataburger at 9:30 in the morning, or, we just, weren't taking care of ourselves. We had a kegerator in the office, and you know how all that goes. So, as soon as I got out of that business, I just got super healthy, and I started to match up my financial goals with my physical goals for the first time in my life. And things really started to happen. I mean, look, last year I went to base camp on Mount Everest. I didn't go all the way to the top, but it's 3/4 of the way, and it takes like 3 or 4 weeks of your life.
Right.
And I can coincide that with a real estate deal. It meant a lot to me. Every day I'm working on my body, and every day when I'm working on my body, I'm thinking about the real estate deal.
Right.
And then it's kind of, it's my partners started to see that too. And before I knew it, there was like 6 to 10 of us that are doing deals with each other, helping each other out, physically pushing each other. And it just so happens a few months ago, we're climbing the 7 summits of the world. Some of them call it the 7 summits of the world. I'm a little older. I call it the 7 vacations of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm more interested in having a good time.
Yeah.
But we went to Russia. Awesome. Started off in Moscow. And then one of the largest mountain in Eurasia is Mount Elbrus. It's around 18,500 feet. And we took 2.5 weeks off of our life, and we all did it together. And it was a really good feeling. And there was, I want to say, like 8 or 10 of us. And we masterminded the whole way up. A lot of the whole Go Abundant story, you'll hear David and Mike talk about their Kilimanjaro trip. And they said, wouldn't it be cool if we started a tribe?
Right.
So, I got my small little real estate tribe, and how cool was it? Look at what we do for a living. We make millions of dollars. We see opportunity where no one else sees it. We fix broken shit, and we climb mountains.
Yeah. Well, and it's such a big departure from like that Wall Street lifestyle where it's just grind, 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 and when you're done, nobody needs you anymore. And even if you're making $500,000 a year in New York, like you said, between taxes and cost of living out there, it's like a whole different ballgame. So
I got to tell you, and I spend seriously 2 to 3 hours every morning by myself. The whole morning routine, I've always bought into it. The whole meditation I've always done.
So what are your rituals? Sounds like you have a miracle morning kind of routine.
Yeah, for sure. I started off with a pot of green tea every single morning. I built myself a beautiful gym in the house. I say a few prayers, and then I do some guided meditations. I really like this guy, David Romanelli, and Calm. I don't know if anyone knows that one too. I listened to both of those.
David Romanelli's from out here where I live. Yay, Dave, right?
Yeah. Matter of fact,
I teach yoga part-time, and Dave's been in my class.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I hire Dave to make us special segments for the mountains. So like he made us a special 2-week segment for Russia, and we just got back from Mount Rainier in Washington. Dave made us a 5-day session. So yeah, love him. And I do that, and then I got a trainer. It made a big difference in my life. 3 times a week, and I mean I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm doing pull-ups, I'm doing handstands, and just like I said, it's like if you could put the body, mind, and spirit together, you're gonna make a fucking lot of money. Oops.
Yeah. Well, you're just. I mean, you're gonna have a better life overall. I mean, I see a lot of people hitting it hard in on the money side and just totally out of balance, right?
Because I know a lot of us are into health, and I mean, there's definitely a time where you need to put the devices down.
Yeah.
But man, if you're going to spend 3 hours in your own gym, and you got YouTube playing and you're watching all the videos, I mean, I'm just texting orders. I'm looking for opportunity, and Yeah, I could be done for the day, or I might not be done for the day. That's why I like multiple sources of income. If you have 6 to 12 different types of businesses,
Yep.
go where the activity is. There's so many times I saw in the commodity markets where some pits would be absolutely dead, like gold wouldn't trade or silver wouldn't trade. I mean, dead for like a week. So, why, you got to pay for your seat. You got to pay for your kids' college,
Right.
So that's what I learned. Like if housing's hot, I built multi-million-dollar spec houses here in Rice Village in Houston. Or, if I can't find a deal to save my life in the retail shopping center business, well, then let me go look for an industrial deal. Or, I just flew out to Minnesota to go look at a bunch of buildings, and I'm in Houston.
So is part of, I mean, it sounds like obviously you want to, buy low, sell high. So, maybe for you apartments were getting a little too pricey. You felt like you could get a premium, you get out of it, you go into the shopping centers. Is it also kind of this, not trying to put words in your mouth, but is it also kind of a continual need maybe to, I don't know, kind of rebirth or be challenged or, tackle a new portion of that industry?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, you bring up a really good point. I think every 5 years we reinvent ourselves.
Right.
I can kind of chase. There was 5 years where I was really into the commodity markets. There was 5 years where I was really into single family houses. There was 5 years where I was really into multi. And there's 5 years. I'm in the middle of a 5-year run right now with the retail. And that's what's so cool about, I guess, making money. We can measure it. We really can measure it. Some of us that aren't so good at math or don't pay attention to the metrics, RKO, or so. I mean, but you do when it comes to money, right?
Right.
So, and then not only that, I mean, look, it's not all about money. Let's be, but you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. There's no way you're going to make more money if you don't push yourself out of your comfort zone. I mean,
Oh, sorry. So speaking of that, I mean, where have your biggest challenges? Like any of these deals? I mean, you've made a lot of deals. There had to be some that kind of blew up in your face. What is any notable ones?
Any notable deals that didn't work out?
Yeah.
Well, I've always been a value buyer. I've always been buying stuff at a discount. So I've been in really good shape. I can tell you that as a syndicator, if I ever felt there was one deal where I offered a pref. First deal out of like 40 deals I think I've done. Didn't work out. Way behind the rehab schedule. Everything was always getting ripped off. The school across the street shut down.
Oh, wow.
I was in the middle of I don't even know where the hell I was in Houston, Texas. I don't go there anymore, that's for sure. And, but I was getting close. I was redlining and I said, you know what? I'm behind on the pref. I'm never going to catch up. Why would I keep it? So I pretty much just got out of it for what I paid for it. But other than that, I've been really fortunate, lucky, smart. And like I said, when it came to all the housing, I was buying, it really had to be broken. I mean, that was my model. I needed something with the roof blown off.
How were you financing originally? Did you, well, I guess you had the money from your commodities business, right? So
I did, but I didn't. I get that too, because I used to kind of teach this stuff or want to teach it. Hard money. There's a plethora of hard money out there. And I did. And even if you have, $100,000 in the bank or whatever it is, you're still going to feel broke because we're all overachievers and that's not enough. So why not, give someone a point a month, back in the day, it wasn't a point a month. I forget what it was back in the day, but I was using other people's money. I actually kind of thought it was kind of cool. Get into the house, no money down because you borrowed the hard money, fix it, fill it, rent it, refinance it. I mean, geez, that's all I did. That's all I did for a long time.
Very cool. And what's next for you? I mean, so the health and fitness garden's been huge for you. Obviously, you've done really well financially with your career and mission. Mm-hmm. Any gardens for you that are kind of, high on your list right now to lean into?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm so caught up in my business right now. I do. I'm not sure if you're going philanthropy. I did actually officially create a nonprofit organization last year. And what we're doing first of all, we front loaded it with $100,000 And it's cool now because like even if I go to like the Go Abundance event or something, or Pat's got, sometimes people don't donate quick enough, and they start thinking about the cents in their head. But me, I know, and now I have an account where we earmarked a lot of money off, so I can always go give away a few $1,000s at a time, and it's a good feeling. And it's also a good training because it's not your money anymore anyway. So now you're just giving it away,
right,
to worthy cause. But also what we're doing is the name of my firm is Great Partners, and it's at greatpartners.com. Maybe we'll talk about that before we go. But what we do is like, a lot of us hire but we get money raisers to bring money to our syndications. Right. Well, I have a good friend who's a very successful attorney, and she points me out in the right direction, and I go raise the money, and we take a percentage, the override from the money, what the money raiser would get, and we put it into the foundation. So it's kind of cool because now the foundation's generating a few $1,000s every month. And I never had that before. So I got a nonprofit organization. I know it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it's the process, right? We all know it's all about the process and the system and getting used to it. And, so now I have retail shopping centers, throwing off cash into my nonprofit that we're giving away. We gave away $35,000 to Methodist Hospital last year. Just stuff like that. It's a good feeling.
Awesome. I like that it's scheduled contribution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a plan for contribution. So and even the way that you're verbalizing it, which means I think you're internalizing it this way, is that that money's not mine anymore anyway. It's in the budget. Right. It's no different than the electric bill, right? It's like we said we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I think most people's vision of contribution, whether it's money or time, is when I have enough time or when I have enough money, then I'll do it. And it's right. There's always something better to do.
Robert Kiyosaki used to always say, like, they talked about tithing or 10%, or maybe it was Jim Rohn. I can't remember. It was Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn would say, look, if you can't give away $10 when you have 100, how the hell are you going to give away 100,000 when you have 1,000,000? Right.
Same math, bigger numbers, right?
But you're right. What we're really talking about here is there's a balance sheet and there's a spiritual balance sheet. So I'm trying to catch up on the spiritual balance sheet. I could do better. Right.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So what's next? I know you're knee deep in this, so you're not looking at that next 5-year thing. But
what I'm doing right now? It's so I actually got my house count up to 400. I've sold everything. And I build spec houses. And right now I decided I was kind of trying to balance like 3 or 4 spec houses at a time. And that became a job. So I said, forget that. So what I decided now, I'm building a $5 million spec house.
Oh, wow.
That's it. Just one house. It's going to be start to finish. It's probably going to take me 18 months by the time I can exit. So go big, simplify, refine, speak more. So those are kind of like my 4 mantras for 2019. So I'm really trying to go bigger on everything. Even on we talked about the houses, we talked about the apartments, even the warehouses. But for me, I bought a dozen shopping centers between 10 and 15,000 square feet. Your real neighborhood mom and pop shops, the doctors, the chiropractors, the Quick Mark. Then I got used to it and I said, okay, let's step it up. And then I got a 50,000 square foot center. And again, we can measure it because I'm getting paid by the square foot. So I can see the dollars and cents and I can see myself pushing myself. And then I finally said, okay, let me go get the 100,000 square foot center, which is definitely intimidating in an age like we're in right now because of all the negativity around it. But I just got 140,000 square foot center. So I'm going to keep pushing the envelope. I'm out to go big. What was that?
Is the 140 the biggest that you've done so far?
140 is the biggest I've done so far. But last month, I bought, me and my partners, great partners, we bought 2 shopping centers for around 250,000 square feet. Wow. So, but they're separate. But they're a few miles apart in Pasadena, Texas. Then we got Planet Fitness, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Japanese store, Japanese restaurant, Mexican, Quest Diagnostics, just kind of this stuff, a pharmacy, stuff we feel like a recessionary proof.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So in your business now, so let's bring it back to that. So you're syndicating deals. Are you bringing people in? Like, are you bringing GoBundance people in? Are you like, do people invest with you? Do they study from you? Like, what does that look like?
I appreciate that. Thank you for, look, I syndicate, and, usually we'll go get like a $20 million deal, and I'll need to go raise 6 million. I might be able to do one or two by myself, but then I'd be done.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of it's all friends and family. Lately, with all this new technology and help from Andrew, and my partners, we're building a digital platform. We're doing more podcasts. I actually have a book, and it's on Amazon. It's,
Awesome.
The Cash Flow Mindset.
Mindset.
Last time I was in Breckenridge, I gave many of them away to the M1 group. If you see me, I'll definitely give it to you. If not, go buy one. If you don't like to read, well, I read it for you. It's on audible.com.
Cool.
So stuff like this actually helps. I'd recommend everyone in the group to really write down their story. It is an incredible business card too, right? So yeah, and anyone who's listening, you can reach us because we always have a deal in the works, and we can always use partners. And like anything, there's no better way of learning a business than investing a little in someone else who's doing it really successful. Great track record we have. And greatpartners.com, GR8 for great, partners.com. And look, and for the group, if you go to alanschnur.com, I have probably around like 100 or 150 educational videos. I used to sell all it. It's all there for free.
Cool.
Houses, apartments, and some retail. Go ahead and check it out. And my phone number, I just give it out, 713-503-5908. Call me. I mean, if you want to talk about a retail deal, if you want to be part of a syndication, if you want to talk about, I don't know, you want to climb a mountain, we have a little group. It's called 10X Adventure. Not the most original name, but 10X Adventure.
It works.
Each year, we're going to take one trip to one of the 7 summits, and Aconcagua is the next one.
So Alan, what is the minimum normally for, I'm sorry, I'm trying to copy. Can you say your phone number once?
Sure. 713-503-5908.
Okay.
713-503-5908. And I'm also, Alan Schnur at gmail.com.
There we go.
There you go.
I love that. Thanks for being accessible. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Where was I going? I had a quick question for you, and I forgot. So a couple of things. Sadie, if you could also put the link up or Alan on my team, if you guys could put up the link for Alan's book as well, that would be cool in the
Does
chat.
this work for me?
You can probably chat. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Does this work?
Yeah.
Very cool. So what I was going to ask was, so again, we have people from, getting out of college, paying off college loans to $20 million in M1.
Okay.
What is the minimum investment level normally?
So listen, normally it's 100,000,
right.
But I've also found why not look, there's a rule in this business. Never take anybody's last $25,000. It's not going to turn out pretty.
Right.
But for the group and somebody that wants to get involved, and you can start with $25,000 just to be part of it. Every quarter, you'll see the reporting, the summaries, the balance sheet, the profit and loss statement, the rent rolls, the reconciled bank statements, the cash flow statements, summaries, the video summaries. You'll learn so much about the business just hearing about it that you can't not help expand your mind and say, there's more to life than just housing.
Right.
I know a lot of us, and Keller Williams, I know all these guys, and so
typically if someone invests with you, they're investing in one particular property, not the portfolio, correct?
That is correct. One property at a time. And what we're seeing, we basically say, look, you could expect to make 2% a quarter, 8% annually, cash on cash.
Okay.
We aim to double everybody's money over a 4 to 8 year period, depending on the play. Some are cash flow plays, some are flip plays. Some are CMBS loans where you really got to hold on to the loan for 5, 6, 7 years. Others, local bank, where it's just a small prepayment penalty. But it is such a fantastic time to take advantage of low rates. I mean, I know we hear this over and over, but I just did a $12 million deal with Morgan Stanley, 3.85%, interest only for 10 years.
Jesus.
And we bought an 8.5 cap. So it's like you're spreading that by 400 basis points just on, say, $10 million. I mean, $400,000 is a no-brainer. I mean, as long as corporate Planet Fitness keeps paying, Quest Diagnostics, I mean, you're getting a piece of these companies instead of going on the New York Stock Exchange. You know, I call this, we're directly investing. That's how we all make a lot of money. You know, there's no middleman. It's me, another person, and a few assistants. That's it. So, and then the depreciation. I know, Ken, it's not the right time because it's a long story, but you know, whatever you think about President Trump, you know, he just basically took, you know, there was depreciation schedules. There's straight line depreciation where you can depreciate a piece of commercial real estate over 29 and a half years. Then we all got a little smart and said, you know what, we could break out the personal property IRS code, and you know, that lamp depreciates differently from that wall. So they brought it down to a 5-year schedule, and then you can split it up that way. Well, what Trump did, he said, you know what, let's jumpstart this economy. You could take most of it in year one, bonus depreciation. So it's like we go out and we buy a $20 million shopping center, and there's $10 million of depreciation year one on a $6 million capital raise. I mean, that is just absolutely huge. Right. And that's how I started to get ahead in life when I started to pay less W-2 tax. Right. Yeah, it makes a really big difference. I really hope people will think about that. You don't have to do it with me. If you want to, that'd be great. And apply it to your own investments, because it's not all about real estate. It could be equipment. Right. I just bought $2 million in washers and dryers. I've never done a load in my life, but you know, it's like, right. And you can write that stuff down aggressively. So on the shopping centers, when you're doing 2% quarter over quarter or quarter to quarter, and you said what you're expecting normally a double in, did you say 8 years? Well, what we aim for is we tell people, look, you're going to see 50% of your profit and capital returned through cash flow payments, and the other 50%, if we perform, will be through equity appreciation and your payback. So you give me $100,000, I'm really trying to give you $200,000 back, depending on the play. The Morgan Stanley deal that I just told you about, that's going to be longer. I mean, that there was a safety net in there. It's I mean, interest only. It's going to cash flow like crazy, right? Without paying principal pay down on like a $10 million loan is probably $30,000-$40,000 a month. We don't have to pay. Right. It gives me time to execute my business plan, put up a few out parcels, get some quick service restaurants, build millions of dollars of equity that way. But that's just part of that prospectus when it goes out, right? Oh, like, for sure. You know, and then I have another shopping center where, you know, it was like 50% vacant. You know, we bought it for $80 a square foot. And you know, I think we're going to flip that thing in 3 or 4 years. There'll be a few $100,000 penalty to pay to get out of the local lender loan. But again, that's scheduled to be a double as well. So. Very cool. Well, thanks. I'm trying to look here on our side comments. I'm watching you and I'm not watching the comments. Me either. So go back it's been a good conversation. We got any questions? A lot of them, I think we might be on Facebook and we might not at the same time. So I'm just trying to make sure we didn't miss anyone. But I've been I've been real open to the tribe, and I was telling you that I had the honor to go away with Mike McCarthy and David Osborne to Iceland and Finland with our families last year, and I met a lot of the M1 group in Breckenridge, and I mean, of course, we recommend everyone goes to those events and be around, you know, this wealth of information, and you know, there's never been a better time as far as I'm concerned. If money's your thing and you want to make it, and you have groups like this. Right. I mean, not only has it never been a better time to make money, but the groups and rock and the physical exercise, and you know, I was into Tony Robbins at one point. I mean, all this stuff is just like, it's all peaking. Yes. You know? So I really hope everybody dives in.
Well, I'm glad you brought Andrew over. He's become a great member.
Oh
So
yeah.
Alan brought Andrew Kiefer. I think I mentioned that earlier at the top of the hour. Andrew joined us in Montreal, so that was his first event with us. We've
Oh
got
great.
Mexico right around the corner. I think he's committed to that. How did you guys meet, out of curiosity?
Just I used to mentor a lot of well, I mentored a handful of students,
Okay.
and just through that, a friend of a friend. And once I look, uh, if you can lead and teach people to lead, as far as I'm concerned, he can lead this whole organization.
Right.
Um, I I guys like us always work, but I'm gone 3 4 months a year on vacation. I live in Asia and Japan. I'm hiking mountains, and so I'm starting to learn that my ideas can come to me in a matter of seconds, and then I need to implement them with a really strong team. And like someone like Andrew, I mean, kick ass. I was in the armed services
Yeah.
and understands that I don't care, what you do. I don't care when you do it. Just get the job done. And
Right.
that's who we are in this group, right? Just get the
Right.
freaking job done and let's move on to the next one. And look, maybe I'm wealthier than you now. Let's get you up here quick as possible so you can get through that pain as quick as possible. And I just know that it's contagious.
Yeah, I think one of the beautiful gifts in a way of when you're in a leadership position is
Mm.
recognizing somebody like Andrew or
Right,
we have so many people in M1, but I'll use him because we both know him,
right,
and just maybe seeing something in him that he sees in himself at the time, but maybe all not all that clearly, right? And you're just like, man, this dude with a little bit of oil thrown on that fire, is going to take off. And because I think we all wanted that when we were younger, right? I mean,
right.
we all wanted someone just going, man, I could have saved 5 years, 7 years, 10 years sometimes, if someone would have taken an interest. And I think, but a big part, and I think the responsibility of the people in groups like this is don't be a wallflower. Like, don't sit
Right,
around waiting for it to happen. I mean,
right,
you just gave everyone your phone number. You'll probably get 3 calls or maybe none. You know what I mean?
right.
And I don't want you to get 50, but,
Well,
but
text me. I like to text. And with that, I have a great friend. I can't take full responsibility for his success, but he's always stayed in touch with me. I've always had a bigger portfolio, so he's always been chasing. But I am proud to say that he just bought a $3 million house last
wow.
week in Dale, Colorado. He's 32.
Whoa.
Right? And you want to talk about, you asked questions about what do you do with a vacant box? He bought a vacant box and he filled it up and he flipped it. Not even, I think 13 months. He held it to get away from short-term capital gain. And they made a $3 million profit.
I'm sorry. I have one question going back there, and we're still
Okay.
good on time.
All right. All right.
Um, so when you get a center, so there's a sweet spot. I kept hearing you say 30 or 40%. If it gets down to where it's below like 50% occupancy, is it just too hard to bring it back? Or
No, not at all. No,
okay,
only sweet spot in the sense that I'm turning 50 years old next month.
right. You don't want to wait
And
it.
my carpet tile and paint days are over.
Right.
My investors expect me to return cash flow immediately. So I'm buying cash flow plays with added value.
Right.
I love a 50%. I mean, you're going to have a hard time, since it's unstabilized, you're going to have a hard time financing it. But the 32-year-old kid that I just told you about, he borrowed hard money. He's making $60,000 a month payments. But it
Wow.
worked out,
Right.
and they baked in all the tenant improvement costs and all the commission costs. And, the lender didn't really care because if he didn't succeed, he would have got an incredible property anyway that they bought pennies on the dollar.
How long did it take him from finance to flip?
13 months,
Whoa, that's awesome.
13
What,
months,
what did he make off that deal in the end?
well, three guys carved up $3 million. And I didn't pick up the phone that day.
Easy math. That's amazing.
But and it's contagious. And then he just went on and he got another, these shopping center. And so grocery stores, they're going to probably go through, if you can find a shopping center that has a dark grocer, I mean, that's just a huge opportunity. before you know it, you know, you put in a trampoline park, you put in, what did he just, you put in, he just took an old, I think it was like a Kroger's that went out, which is a grocery store, and they put in like a Camper World or something like that. You know, so it's not that people aren't going anymore. It's just that the model changed.
Yeah, just different
You know,
tenants.
it's like we still listen to music, right? We just don't go to Sam Goody and buy the records.
Right, right. Well, that aged you a little bit, but luckily
Yeah.
I'm in the same age group. I was going to say Tower Records, but Sam Goody is East Coast, Tower Records West.
That's funny.
Right on, Alan. Well, I want to thank you, man. A lot of great
Yeah.
insights here. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time. And
Yeah.
everybody knows where to reach you. I think these comments are posted up here along with over on Facebook. So
Right. Anything I could do, any service, you know, let me help. And you got some deals you want to talk about? Well, let's partner up one way or the other. And look, everyone at the end of the day is making their own choices and their own decisions. And you got to take some action to make things happen or go find a safer path.
for sure, for sure. Well, thanks so much again.
Well, thank you so much, Ken. All right. Awesome.
You got it.
Have a good night.
All right, take care.